I'm here with Hassan Ahmed from Affirmed Networks. Hassan, thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk about all aspects of 5G, but today we're going to focus on the mobile core.
Sure.
So Affirmed Networks announced what it called the industry's first 5G mobile core. Give us an update on where that's at and its development and deployment process.
Sure. Well, the 5G next-gen mobile core, as the world has come to call it, we announced that back at just around Mobile World Congress. We announced actually that it was in trials at that time, and it is in trials with a number of operators. We expect to see it go into production deployments towards the end of the third quarter of this year, which I believe is really pretty far ahead of just about where everyone else is, having cloud-native core. The road to a 5G core has had steps that people are now thinking about. We've actually already got those deployed, so control user plane separation, things like that, they were done a while ago, and customers are already deploying those. So we're really excited about the fact that we're getting to what will be the basis of the intelligence of 5G networks.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because there's so many aspects of 5G that once everyone started describing 5G networks, we start imagining what was possible, and then maybe it spurred a bit more innovation in the current technology that we have. You kind of referenced that you guys were way ahead, in the development of the mobile core. What aspects of 5G services are we starting to see showing up in other places?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things that kind of spring to mind as people start using the software capabilities that we deliver, even in their existing LTE networks. So one of the things that people always associate with 5G is the notion of slicing. But the reality is slicing isn't really a 5G thing, it's really a networking thing. It's a capability of a network. It's a very valuable capability. People should have it. So we have a number of customers now that have been deploying the slicing capability that we provide. And they use it for all kinds of interesting capabilities. Making a slice for an enterprise customer might be one thing they do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they use it even within their own internal operations. They're upgrading the network and they want to put some friendly users on a slice, or they're trying out a new service, they want to put some friendly users and just pull up a slice and do that. So we're finding things like that turning out to be very valuable in how people roll out 5G thoughts. The other big thing that 5G brings is convergence, right? It brings a lot of different types of traffic onto the same infrastructure, which means lots of different services on the same infrastructure. And that actually has been native to the way we've thought about the core from the get-go. So one of the things we're able to do is bring lots of different traffic types and pack it very efficiently onto the core. And then our service automation platform allows you to build all different types of services to run those traffic types on a common network. And that makes a huge difference in the economics and the simplicity of how you run the network.
Speaking of traffic types, in relation to video, video is both the killer app of mobility, but also just the network killer of mobility as well. How has Affirmed technology handle video in a way that's different than what we're seeing elsewhere in the industry?
Well, our view right from the get-go was that one of the fundamental problems that operators had to be able to wrestle with is economically scaling the network. And if you thought of that as the problem back in the 3G days when video started rising to today, I think that problem is on steroids in 5G. If you think of 5G as having 1,000x the capacity, we're not getting 1,000x the revenue for it. So we got to scale the network economically.
Right.
So I think it kind of starts at Affirmed with the fundamental architecture, the way that we have built the software in this parallel fashion gives us a lot of capacity on relatively little compute. So that's one thing we do, but then specific to video, and for that matter other services, we do a lot of optimization and sort of scheduling and pacing and things like that really help us optimize the use of the network. And what's different, I'd say, about Affirmed in that regard is in the old days, this was an afterthought that was kind of a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You got too much video in the network, you're throwing a byte mobile box or something like that.
Right.
Whereas what we do at Affirmed is we don't view these as band-aids. We think of the ability to optimize and anything else you want to do with the video as just a capability you have to have. It's part of the call treatment. And so what we do is we analyze every flow and we ask ourselves, well, what does this flow need for service? And if it happens to need that kind of capability, we bring it in dynamically. And this ability to bring things in dynamically really meaningfully changes how efficiently you can use the network.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. When one of the things you mentioned there was talking about, just sort of the reality of the carriers, which is, 1,000x bandwidth, but you're not getting 1,000x revenue. So obviously inside the network somewhere, they've got to automate and make some of their processes more automatic. And then, on top of that, there's zero-touch provisioning, which is kind of the new buzzword in the automation space. I'm assuming Affirmed is keeping up with that. How is what type of automation and what level of automation is Affirmed working with now?
Yeah, well, you're hitting on a topic that's near and dear to my heart. When we started Affirmed, virtualization was sort of a big piece of the puzzle, but actually service automation was an even bigger piece in our view. We always viewed it as a sort of a second step because everyone was focused on reducing their capex in the early days.
Right.
And but in our view, how you manage the network and how you build services and run services is ultimately far more important. So, Affirmed is known as the virtualized EPC company, but in fact, we're actually a much broader networking company now. We provide the EPC and so on, to be sure, but we have a service automation platform that lets us do things in minutes, the types of things that used to take months to do in the mobile network. That allows operators to innovate at a very rapid pace, and it also allows them to run the network with much lower OpEx and fewer resources. So that's sort of the arena that we focused on. What we're finding, interestingly enough, is that many of our customers who started with us in the EPC are now deploying the full suite of capabilities that we offer. So service automation becomes a big piece of the puzzle. They can design new services and roll them out quickly. They can automate their own methods and procedures and manage their network effectively. But what they're really, what some of them are starting to do, which I think is really cool, is they're taking advantage of our integrated probe capability. We generate a lot of network and subscriber statistics. We run analytics off that. And what we're able to do is then run those through some machine learning, and we're able to close the loop through the automation, where we're able to then change the way the network works. We're able to change the way that the service is delivered to any specific subscriber. We can change the policy to an individual subscriber, all done automatically through policies that are set up. If you have some rogue users that are creating problems on the network, we have the ability to spin up a slice through automation and quarantine those users onto that slice, as an example. So I think we're sort of in some ways creating the tools that really enable a higher level of innovation, and we hope to just see lots and lots of innovation emerge as a result of having this very quick way of trying things out.
All right, Hassan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.